Hello, and welcome everyone to the Business of Being an Artist, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts virtual professional development series designed to cover an array of business-related topics for artists living or working in New Jersey. Today, we will be discussing digital marketing strategies and artistic branding for artists. My name is Samantha Clark, and I am the Program Officer for Arts Education and Lifelong Learning at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. I'm joined by my colleague, Stephanie Nurbach, who is the Artist Services Manager. Stephanie is with us and behind the scenes today. Our goal is to identify needs of individual artists in our state and offer services including professional development to help fulfill those needs and ultimately better support New Jersey-based artists. By completing the post-workshop survey after today's event, you'll be able to share direct feedback with Stephanie and myself. This feedback will provide ways in which we can improve further offerings, as well as sharing the topics you most want to learn about. So please take the time to complete that survey. On June 3rd, the New Jersey State Council on the Arts will host a Teaching Artists Speed Networking event. This event is for teaching artists to meet arts organizations throughout the state who are looking to hire and work with teaching artists. Registration opens April 22nd. To learn more about the Teaching Artists Speed Networking event, as well as future professional learning opportunities, please sign up for Opportunities for the Field and State Arts Council's bi-weekly newsletter. Before I introduce the presenters, I want to touch on today's logistics. This is a 90-minute workshop with a lot of information to cover. We will have one keynote speaker who will present for around 60 minutes. We will then launch into 3 peer-to-peer sessions, which will each take 5 minutes. Because there is no scheduled break, we encourage you to take care of yourself as you see fit. If you need to turn off your camera, walk away, stand up, stretch, grab a beverage, please feel free to do so. Just please stay on mute throughout the duration of the workshop. A recording of today's session will be made available, so if you need to step away or leave today's session, or if you want to rewatch any of the presentations, you'll be able to access the information shared here. Please use the chat function for all questions. We will take a few minutes near the end of our time to address questions live. However, should we run out of time, we will make note of all questions and address them in our follow-up email. Today's key presenter is Robert Burnham, the founder and president of Digital Arts Imaging, Digital Arts Web, and Printers Marketing Toolkit. With a passion for connecting companies to their markets, Robert has dedicated his career to driving growth through proven marketing strategies since 1993. We will also be joined by 3 incredible peer speakers who will address tips and tools that have worked for them. Sha Lane is the founder of and senior consultant for Focus 5 Inc. and author of the work Acting Right, Building a Cooperative, Collaborative, Creative Classroom Community Through Drama. Bara Patel is a Kathak dancer, choreographer, educator, and the artistic director of Barca Dance Company based in New York City. And last but not least is Eric James Montgomery, a fine art photographer, educator, and artivist who focuses his lens on our time's pressing cultural and social justice issues. He is also the founder of the Eric James Montgomery Foundation. To learn more about our guest speakers, please see the presenter bio document that's now placed in the chat. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to pass the mic over to our keynote speaker, Robert Burnham. Robert?
Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here, and we're going to be covering a lot of information. And just realize you don't have to use it all. Just take note of what resonates with you and leave the rest. But I've tried to make it create little chunks so we can really get a handle of what all of this is. So digital marketing, what is that, right? What is marketing? What is branding? We're going to get into all of that. So the overview is going to be what is marketing and what is personal branding today. And we're also going to go over digital marketing basics like email marketing, what traffic is, how to drive traffic to your site, social media marketing, what components of a marketing campaign look like, how to write a marketing plan, marketing communication channels available, what your website should do for you, and analytics for the site, tools, and where to go for help. So we're going to cover all that today, but we're going to start with what is marketing? What, everybody hears marketing, and there are a lot of people that say, well, I'm a marketer, I do this, marketing this and that. What is it? Well, marketing to me is creating noise, creating attention for a product, a service, or a person. So creating that awareness in the marketplace is what marketing is. If people don't know you're there, they don't know you exist, they don't know that you create art, they won't have a clue how to connect with you. And what is personal branding? Because as an artist, you really are branding yourself. Well, that is what you say about yourself, your experience, your expertise, and your core values. That's what personal branding is. Okay. So goals. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to do with marketing and personal branding? Well, we're trying to create awareness about ourselves and our art, right? Brand awareness. And we're trying to acquire customers and collectors. We're trying to connect with your audience and showcase your work. So those are the goals. And we're in a very exciting time because with the digital tools we have available, we can do things really quickly and inexpensively that years ago would take a long time and a lot of money to achieve. If you think about what you can do with a YouTube post, what you can do with a simple Facebook ad, think about 20 years ago, how you'd have to go about doing any of that. It would be very, very difficult, very, very expensive. And now, basically for free, we can create awareness about ourselves and our art, which is just really exciting. It's overwhelming because there are so many tools, so many choices, so many channels that's how we get a little bit overwhelmed. But if we take it in little chunks slowly and start slowly, you can ramp up to eventually having pretty robust campaign and really, really connect with a lot of people. Uh, I really believe in social media. And I got to tell you, I have a client, big client, and we landed them a few months ago. And he said, well, I don't know about this social media stuff. And I said, well, I said, Brian, you're a big client to me. I said, your business is about 25 million in revenue, and you're a really big client. And Brian, answer me this question. How did we meet? And he said, social media. I closed the deal that day. So we met on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's really good. You'll see, I'm going to show you some different things, but it all works. It absolutely 100% works. Sometimes it takes a while. For example, our LinkedIn campaign, we started last June, and this particular campaign in January, we had one client and now we have 8. So it's really ramping up quickly, but it took many months. So we need to also be aware that some of this stuff takes time, and it's really important to be consistent, right? Okay, so all this sounds good. Yeah, Robert, I kind of buy what you're saying, but how do we do it? Well, I'm going to start with social media, and social media is really powerful. You can showcase your works in process. You can do a tour of your studio, completed works. You can showcase the whole creative process, upcoming shows, and you can do it with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok as well. So I wanted to show you some examples of what I think are pretty good. Let me come up here. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. So here's a real good example of Joe's a former client, great guy, and you can see how he uses his Facebook account. He's showing all kinds of works. He also shows himself out at shows, and it's just a really good example of how you can use social media. And if you look at his engagement, they're pretty good. Look at that, 55 people like that one, 52 on that one. Joe's horses, so he's using it in a really good way. So that's a good example of what you can do with just a Facebook page and just posting regularly. Let's see how often Joe posts. I think he posts quite often. March 17th, yeah, about every 2 weeks, he's putting something up. All right, let's take a look at someone that's using LinkedIn. So Jimmy Dyer, and he's a fine artist. And look at this, he's just featuring his work with links to it. So that's what he's doing. And so very simply, you can post on both LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want. And you can actually post the same content although some people will tell you not to do that, you can quite easily. So that's a good example of LinkedIn, and just showing you what you can do with a very simple post. All right, so let's see. I want to see. I want to show you how you can post too. A lot of people go, well, I don't even know how to post. I want to show you on Facebook. You can actually, once you connect your Instagram to Facebook, and if you didn't know, Instagram is owned by Facebook, you can create a post. But look at this, you can create a post that will go to both Facebook and Instagram all at the same time from within Facebook. So you can create the posts and schedule them all within Facebook right here, right? So it's quite easy. I'm going to show you some other tools as well, but it's pretty easy to do. The thing you have to do though is you have to make time to do it, and you have to be consistent. So we post for some of our clients 15 times a month, but you don't have to do that. Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to get started. All right. The next thing I want to talk about in a little bit in more in detail too is email marketing. And then I'm going to show you a platform that you can kind of do everything. But email marketing is extremely effective. It's essentially free, and you can start out really small. The important thing is to have a list. And a lot of people don't have a list, and they don't know how to start one. So what I would recommend for starting a list is simply to go through your inbox and your contacts and put together a list of your friends and family and people perhaps that have bought from you before. You could start out with 20, 30, 40 contacts. That's okay. Over time, your list is going to grow, and your list will grow through contacts on social media. It'll grow just through your marketing efforts. And as you put yourself out there, people will connect with you, and you can add them to your list. So the list to me is one of the most important things in your marketing campaign, because you can use it for a number of different things, but you need to start one, and you need to keep it somewhat organized, right? So the way I like to build them when I'm first starting out is just a simple database before you get them into an email marketing program, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But once you start that list in you can use Google Sheets, Excel, whatever, then you can import it into whatever marketing and email platform you want. Now, frequency and messaging, that's up to you, but I think personally, starting out an email marketing campaign once a month is a really good place to start. And then over time, you can start going twice a month. We like to go once a week, but some people think that's too much. But you can tell from your audience, if people start complaining, well, yeah, it's too much. But if you slowly warm it up, it's really not bad at all. So I thought I would show you an example of some email marketing with some marketing emails. I'm going to come up here to Market Queue, and I'm going to show you some that are not artist related, but I'm just going to show you some regular emails. Okay. So this is a platform called Market Queue that we use. And these are just some marketing emails for a printing company that we do their marketing. And you can see we send them out pretty regularly. And the nice thing is you can, and all these programs are the same, whether it's MailChimp, Constant Contact, Market Queue, whatever. You get your stats, so you can find out exactly how your email did. Now that one did not perform. We like to see 20 to 25% open rate. That one didn't do very well. Let's see if we can find one that's better. Yeah, so that open rate's about 26%. So that's more what we like to see. A click rate of 19, 20% is just excellent. So when you start sending them out from whatever program, and I would really recommend Constant Contact or MailChimp to start out with. They have some free free programs you can get into, but you want to keep track of all of these delivery rates, open rate, click rate, just to see how your emails are performing. Now, I got to tell you something. One of the most effective emails that we use and we send out is called it was invented by a guy named Dean Jackson, and it's called the 9-word email. I don't think I can show a sample of it here, but the 9-word email is literally 9 words. It can be things like, "Hi, how are you doing? Have you considered buying any art lately?" Very simple, no images, just text. You can look it up, Dean Jackson's 9-word email. It's the most powerful email you ever imagine, but you only want to use it about once every few months. So there are these things that you could do. And when you email your clients, it's important that your language is genuine and from you, from the heart. A lot of people are using ChatGPT for writing, and you can use ChatGPT to write something, but you need to go through and edit it and make it human because it's extremely mechanical. And they use weird words like they never say custom, it's always bespoke. There are some key words that you can just always tell when something's written by ChatGPT. But to get you going, you can actually ask ChatGPT to create a marketing campaign for you. And I can even show you a quick example of that. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT and just actually have it do something for us here. So let's just say, eh, let's go to, I'm going to say email. So let's say I catch an email for promoting anything. Let's say fine artist. And ChatGPT is free on the 3.5 version. Oh, unable to load. Probably not going to do it because I'm doing a live live demo. It's probably gonna. There we go. So here's an email that it's going to generate. Again, this is free, but you can go through and then you just go through and just fix it up. You're not going to use this as a you know as a elevate artist. So, well, that's not right. Selling fine arts. We'll say selling fine art services. Actually, let's say selling oil paintings. See how it does with that. So there you go. It popped one out pretty quickly. But again, you wouldn't want to just copy and paste this. You'd want to take it and really turn it into your own flavor. But that's an example of creating a lot of copy quickly just to get you just to get you going. If you have trouble writing or you're intimidated by writing, this is a good way to get started. It's ChatGPT 3.5. It's totally free. All right. So that's what, just start out. You can start out by sending a very simple email message, maybe a photo of piece of art you're working on or past works or whatever. Uh, but you can start out a campaign. I should show that already. All right, so here's a couple programs. I would really suggest MailChimp, Constant Contact. I would not use MarketQ because, well, full disclosure, I own it, so I'd be selling my own thing, and it's probably overkill for what you need. But I like MailChimp and Constant Contact. They're both really good, and you can start out really small. I think they both charge you depending on how many contacts you have in your list. So if you have a very small list, I think it's free up to maybe even 2,000 contacts. I don't really remember, but I would definitely use one of those. The nice thing about MailChimp is if you use QuickBooks, MailChimp is now owned by Intuit, who owns QuickBooks. So there's integrations with MailChimp and QuickBooks. So for example, if you have a new client that's added to QuickBooks, you can send them a whole sequence out of MailChimp automatically. That's pretty nice. So just something to start out with, think about. You can check them both out. I've used them both. I like them both. All right. So the next thing is I view the website as the key. That's the key to your marketing program. So I think it's really important your website is really, really good. Um, there are some things that I think a website needs to do, it needs to tell your story. So it can't just be sterile. It needs to be about you, showcase your art. I like to have a form on there to collect subscribers. So if people are interested in connecting with you, they click. Um, it needs to be clear how to hire you for a commission or to buy your art. That needs to be really clear. And then there's analytics that you can put on your website to see what your traffic's like, where it's coming from. And then SEO, search engine optimization. That's if down the road, you actually can start working on your site to increase the friendliness of your site with Google, since really Google controls traffic, Bing to a certain extent, mostly Google. And then I'm going to talk about Google My Business that may be new for everybody. But your website is really key because I tell you what, people connect with you on social, they're going to check out your website. It's just that's what people do. And you want to look, you want it to be a very good representation of really who you are and be very genuine. So I've got a couple sites I'd like to show, and we can talk about what makes them good. And let's talk about, okay, so this is Stanley Meltzoff, who passed away a few years ago, but he was the premier fish painter, in the United States. He would, before photography, underwater photography, would dive and you do these incredible paintings. So Silverfish, after Stanley passed away, bought the rights to all of Stanley's art. But you can see here, this is their side. They have some books and they have Stanley's art. I think this is a really bad website myself. I don't think it's visually attractive. I don't think it tells, it's talking about Silverfish Press, but really Stanley's the star. It should be talking about Stanley. I mean, it talks about him a little bit, but really Stanley's art was just phenomenal. I mean, he was early, really early. And you can see he used to do all kinds of book covers and stuff. Stanley was incredible, incredible man. Fortunate to call him a friend and client before he passed. But to me, this is not a good website at all. I'll show you a really good one next. I don't know if you all know Maureen Chatfield. She's a New Jersey contemporary artist. There's her studio. And man, to me, this just tells all about Maureen there. You can see her studio. There she is. And yeah, working on her paintings, whatnot. So, and if you look down here, down below, it's got her work, tells about the artist installations, press, how to contact, in her Instagram feed. All right here. And it's down below. She doesn't have it up top. I would probably argue to have the menu up top or on the right, but it is down at the bottom. So to me, this is a really good site. And I know Maureen well. This really represents her personality as well. This is another one. It's pleasing from a design standpoint as far as grab, but it doesn't really tell you much about Sue right off. And I don't know Sue, but it also doesn't really, it's not obvious what to do to, become engaged with. It does have a contact form, which is good, but to me, it's just not so good. This is Guy Koliak's website. Guy Koliak, premier animal artist. And It tells you all about Guy, his recent works, his birds, games, etc. Um, how to contact him. You can actually, I believe, purchase, if I remember right, I think you can place orders for his prints here as well. So this one's pretty good. I like Guys. You've got, you can email him here, Facebook connection here. So I think that one's pretty good. I have one more. Yes, Joe Sundwalds. So I think this is pretty good. Joe is a portrait artist, and he's got about the artist here, his paintings. You can contact the artist, email newsletter. He's got a blog, galleries he's in. So I think this one's really good. I would say, perhaps the design could be a little better, but I think overall, I think this is a really good site because it tells you about Joe and what to do if you want to contact him, purchase a painting or get a commission. He's got a newsletter, he's got a blog, he's got a link to his events coming up. I think this one's got it all going on right here. Again, I don't really like the yellow background, but that's okay. So to me, the website is really key, because people are going to be checking you out on your website. Now, websites these days, believe it or not, are not as hard to build as you may think. So if you look at Maureen's, I could tell right away this is a WordPress site, which well, first of all, 3/4 of all websites are built in WordPress. And WordPress is an open source platform, it's totally free. And you can build your own site, right? Now, WordPress, you can go to WordPress.com and check it out. You can get templates. I guarantee this was a template that they bought, and then she just plugged in her own images. So you can build your own site if you want to. If not, you can hire people pretty easily. I did want to share. I didn't put it. Let me do it right here. I wanted to share this screen. This particular company called Fiverr. If you need help with marketing services, this is a great place to go. It's very inexpensive. So let's say we wanted someone to build us a website. So I'm just going to click in there, and here's all kinds of people that will build you a website very inexpensively, probably for under 200 bucks. So, a lot of these people are out of country, but some of them are in the United States. So if you don't want to go offshore, you can find them in the United States, but they're all WordPress sites and you can get one built pretty inexpensively. And you can also use them for other services. So for example, if you wanted social media manager, maybe you don't want to do your own social media. Well, here you go. And the prices are pretty reasonable. So we do use a person on here to do some of our social media. She's in another country. I think she's in Bulgaria. And she does a great job. She'll do, I don't know, 15 posts for us for $200, which is pretty reasonable. So if you decide you want to get some help with your marketing, Fiverr is a great place to do it. Fiverr. All right. So we talked a little bit about be personal, tell your story, have a forum to collect subscribers, and explain how they should buy from you, showcase your art. Let's talk a little bit about analytics. So analytics, Google Analytics is what we like to use. It's a little bit of code that goes on your website. And I think I have a sample here. Do I have? Oh, no, let's find. Well, let's go to my analytics account. Let's see. I'll just go to my personal account, pull that up real quick and show you what they look like. So it just shows you the amount of users you have. This is the last 90 days. It's really nice too. It'll tell you where they come from, which is really good. Acquisition, overview, traffic acquisition, you can see exactly where they're coming from, whether they're coming from organic search, referrals, or whatever. So it's just totally free. And you just put a little code on your website and you're going to get these great reports. It also tells you how long they're on each page. So it helps you figure that out. Okay. And again, this may look really overwhelming, but it's really not bad. You just go to Google Analytics, you set up an account. Again, it's free. And you put a little bit of code on your site and you get all this great information. So that's what that is. Now, SEO, search engine optimization, it's a bit of a black box thing, meaning nobody really understands what it is, but what SEO is basically on-page and off-page optimization. On-page means they go into each of your pages on your website and they make sure it's got the right keywords and all the right slugs and everything that Google's going to like. So there are tools. There's something called Yoast, which we love Yoast, and it'll actually help you do this yourself if you want, or you can hire someone else to do it. SEO will help drive your traffic. You can pay people typically between 200 and 400 a month to do it, so it's kind of pricey, but you can also do it yourself if you want. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is Google My Business that I didn't find any artists using it, but let me see here. Let's see if we can find it. So here's Joe. I did a search for Joe Sundwald. And when you do searches, usually on the right, you see stuff. That's Google My Business. So let me show you, I think. Yeah. So there's digital arts imaging. There's our Google My Business. So basically, it's a little advertisement for what you do, and it's totally free from Google. You just have to fill it out. Now, here's the caveat is you have to have an address. Now, it doesn't mean people can go there. You can say closed to people dropping by. So, you don't have people just dropping by. You can set all that up. Well, let me show you where that's at. Let's see, google.com. So in your Google account, if you go here and you go to right here, Business Profile Manager, that's where you set that up. And you just fill it out. You throw some pictures up there. Let's see if it pulls mine up. Yeah, well, we've got a bunch of them. But basically, you just set it all up. Wait a minute, where is it? There it is. So you're going to load pictures up. People could leave reviews. So when people leave reviews for you, that Google will send you more traffic to your website. If you have no reviews, Google's going to say, well, that person isn't doing a very good job. I'm not going to send them any traffic. But if you can ask your friends, your clients, whoever, to do reviews, I know it's a pain, but the more reviews you have, the better. That will trigger more traffic to you. And the more you fill this out, the better the more traffic Google will send you. So that's called Google My Business. And I checked number of artists, not one of them had a Google My Business page. So that's something, if you have one, it'll give you a leg up for your traffic. Okay, so we talked about all of that. I want to just talk a little bit about traffic, how to drive traffic to your website. Well, you can do ads, and that can be a boosted post or an actual Facebook ad. They're not hard to run. That will drive traffic. That's like a whole separate session, how to do the ads. You can do shared lists. So if you can think about anybody that you might share customers with. So, who might like art? Who might buy art? Well, all framers cater to artists. So that would, or cater to people that buy art. So that would be someone that if you could get them to share that list with you, that would be a great thing. You could do a mailing to that list. Social media will drive more traffic to your website. SEO also drives more traffic. And as we said, Google My Business and the reviews, the more reviews, the better. So once you have a website built, you want to get more and more traffic, because the more traffic you have, the more engagement you're going to have, the more people are going to fill out the form and just want to do business with you in general. All right, I want to talk about prospects. We hear about prospects, people that might be interested in buying your art. I want to talk about cold versus warm and how I break this down in my mind. I think about 4 different ways about communicating with prospects. Cold one-to-one. So that would be an email you send to a prospect that really doesn't know you, just one email at a time. Hey, Joe, I heard that you like to collect, paintings of landscapes of New Jersey. Would you like check out my work? Something like that. That's a cold one-to-one. And again, if you do a cold one-to-one email that's genuine, people will respond, as they will the next one, cold one to many. So that would be, let's say you've acquired a cold list. And yes, you can also get on Fiverr, you can get lists. So you can say lists, and you can find people that will build a list for you, right? They will actually get you a list, targeted list, right? They'll actually create a list for you of art buyers. All right. And you're going to pay about 10 cents a contact for that. That's a cold list. They don't know you. But if you send out a very genuine email to that list, you will get responses. Okay. So that's cold one to many. Warm one-to-one is going to be an email to someone that you have a relationship with. Perhaps you've got a show coming up or whatever. That's a warm one-to-one. Warm one-to-many is going to be the list you have that are your current clients or clients that you've done business with, friends, family, that sort of thing. That's a warm one-to-many. As is, think about this. When you start getting followers on social media, that's a warm list. They know you, they see your work, they know all about what you're doing. That's considered a warm lead. So that's why it's so important with your social media. These people, over time, as you're posting, they're really starting to understand what you're about, what your work's about, what you stand for, your principles, uh, and that sort of thing. So real important here. Think about your communication 4 ways: cold one-to-one, cold one-to-many, warm one-to-one, and warm one-to-many. These are all very, very good techniques to use. Now, people also say, well, cold one-to-many, what about spam laws? Again, just be genuine. Don't be spammy, and you're going to be fine. Okay. Communication channels. Now, here, this is a challenge, okay? Because what's going to happen as you expand your world with marketing, you're going to have all these different ways people can connect with you. Email, SMS, texting, Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn Messenger, and even Google My Business has a messenger built in. So here's 6 different, and if you're on TikTok, it's another whatever. At the end of the day, you can respond to your communication. You can figure out a routine that works for you, and not, responding immediately to everybody, but just be aware that this happens. As you start getting yourself out there, you're going to get messages from all kinds of different places. All right, marketing plan. Yes, you need one. I cannot tell you how many people, companies I'm talking companies doing millions and millions a year I talk to. I'll say, do you have a marketing plan? They'll say no. And a lot of them, do you have a business plan? No. So I'm a proponent of plans. Can you change them? Yeah, you start out with a plan. You can deviate from the plan, but at least you kind of know where you're going. So in the beginning, I really think you need to have a rough business plan and then the marketing plan, and it can be really rough. It doesn't have to be sophisticated, but the marketing plan basically, and then needs to lay out what you're trying to accomplish, who your competitors are, how much you want to spend, and then the components, and then put the plan together. So for example, you could say, I want to increase my social media presence. I want to increase my follow. I want to double my followers within a year. I'm going to get a list and I'm going to put together a list of my previous clients and email them once a month. And my goal is to have one new commission every month or every other month or whatever it is. You just put it down on paper, right? And the budget is really important because if you don't have a budget for marketing, every time you spend any money for marketing, you're going to feel like it's coming out of your pocket and you're going to wince. But if you have it planned out, I'm going to spend $50 a month. I'm going to spend $100 a month. I'm going to spend 200, whatever it is, right? Then when you spend it, it's part of your budget and you're expecting it. I guarantee whatever money you spend on marketing, it will come back. It absolutely will. The rule of thumb with a list is every contact on your list is worth $1 a month in revenue. So if you have a list of 2,000, you can get $2,000 of revenue from that list every month just by emailing. So that's why it's really important to get that list and really understand, all about your contacts. But get a budget, go small, and just start out really easy. Like I said, don't overwhelm yourself. Just go really, really slow. Okay. So that's my 2 cents. But if you don't have one, don't feel alone. Most people don't. All right, I want to talk about campaigns. And we're doing pretty good on time, so good. So what is a campaign? Well, a campaign is a series of of actions we're going to take in order to achieve a goal in marketing. Then you could create posts, emails, ads, and all kinds of stuff to that goal. It all kind of goes together. And again, this is probably beyond the scope of the talk today, but be aware that a campaign is something you can design on paper. Okay, I'm going to start posting about whatever, and then send out an email to support the posts I just did, right? And then you can run an ad, and ads can cost $5 a day. They can be super inexpensive. And then when people respond, how am I going to respond to that? So that's the components of a campaign. Just something to think about down the road that, okay, now I've got kind of the stuff happening. Now what? Well, let's get a campaign going. Let's have a real purpose to it. All right. Now I want to talk a little bit about the tools. I want to show you guys Canva. I know I had it up here. Yeah. So one of the tools I really like is Canva. Canva. Now I'm an old Photoshop and Adobe guy, so been using those tools forever. But Canva consistently blows me away. So let's say we want to do a Facebook post. And again, you can get a free account on Canva. So let's see, let's search for Facebook. Let's go to home templates. I should put it up here, Facebook. So let's just say Facebook. Let's just do a Facebook post. So here's all these templates that you can grab, any one of them you like, and just change them out. So let's say I like this one. Can just change it out, customize this template, and I can go in here and just start changing out whatever I want, and then export it out. Right here, can export it out, download it as a PNG, PDF, whatever you want. So Canva is super powerful. It's got video capability. It's crazy and it's free. So canva.com, you're looking, I think, am I, yeah, I'm logged in as the free account. So what you're seeing here is the free account. Look at here, Instagram post square. There's a template for you to get started right here. So you don't even have to worry about the size. We know it's the correct size because that's what they do. You can animate them, you can put video in them, you can upload logos or whatever. But Canva is really, really good. Try it out. Try it. It's for free, and I think you'd be really, really impressed with it. So that's one of the tools I wanted to share with you. Um, and then constant contact, forget Market Cube. I'm taking that out. You don't want that. Canva, Loom. Oh, Loom is great. I don't know if you guys use Loom. Loom is a way to make screen recordings. Again, it's free, and you can record things you're working on or whatever and send that out to your list. It's super, super powerful. Facebook, of course, Instagram. To me, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn are must-haves for your work. ChatGPT to help you write stuff just to kind of get you started is very, very helpful. So putting it all together should have been my last slide, but it's not. You need to figure out where you're at. Point A, where are you? Point A, and then where you want to go. Okay. Well, again, that could be a number of commissions or shows you want to get into, or exhibitions you want to have, whatever. And then that difference between point A and point B is your gap, and you need to devise a plan to get from point A to point B. And again, it takes time, but consistency in marketing is the key. Post regularly, email regularly, respond regularly, build a system that makes it super easy for people to get a hold of you, and they will, right? They'll respond. And I know it's kind of weird, like when you start making recordings of yourself. I'll make recordings, just video recordings of marketing tips. And the first few times you do it, you suck. I mean, you do. But over time, you get where you're comfortable. And when you start getting some positive responses, you do it more. So even making a recording with your webcam, it doesn't have to be super fancy. Just I think genuineness and being from the heart counts a lot. And once you have that video, you can do all kinds of things with it. I didn't talk about YouTube. YouTube is huge. YouTube, think about it as videos, it's really a large search engine. So again, it's owned by Google. It's free. Make a YouTube account for yourself, and you can post your videos up there. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff on YouTube. So all of these things work. It's overwhelming. I know. I did a seminar one time for real estate agents about digital marketing, and they came out just overwhelmed. Well, start small. Say, I'm going to post to my Facebook page once a month. I'm going to make an Instagram page if I don't have one. I'm going to make a LinkedIn page, and I'm going to post each one once a month. And just do that for a while. And then add email, right? I'm going to start a list. I'm going to email once a month. And then maybe after you do that, well, I'm going to redo my website so it's a little more user friendly. And you can do that. So just take your time, give yourself lots of time. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't rush. Don't beat yourself up because you're not a marketing expert. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and it's okay. And there's lots of help out there. Lots of help. If you go to YouTube, if you want to know how to do something in marketing, there's so much free help. It's crazy. So you can get help from there. You get into these programs for free and start out super small. And then over time, you're gonna get some results. It will bear fruit. I guarantee it. Well, I have finished 5 minutes early, Samantha.
Oh, you get the gold medal for today, Robert. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
okay.
If you have any questions for Robert, please put them in the chat. Once we get through all of our presenters, we will address those questions at that time. It is my pleasure to pass the mic over to Sean. Sean, it is all you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Robert. That was such helpful information. My name is Sha Lane. I am the founder and co-director of a national arts education consulting company called Focus 5 Inc. So at my heart, I'm a teaching artist. I'm working with teachers, I'm working with schools. I have about 20 teaching artists from around the country that consult with Focus 5. And we're in schools and working with students every day somewhere around the country. We've got most of the art forms covered, from uh, theater to dance to visual arts to puppetry to body percussion uh, to visual arts. So we have to do a lot of marketing and a lot of targeted marketing to specific audiences. And because we do a lot of things, we do professional development for teachers, we go into classrooms and do arts residencies. We train teaching artists, we lead online courses, and we just offer general arts education consulting. So, in my short amount of time here, one of the biggest notes I want to hit comes back to stuff Robert was talking about being genuine and creating a story. You've got a short amount of time to tell an audience who you are and what you do. And we see that a lot, but I want to also drive home, why do you do it? That's going to pull your audience in. It's who you are, it's what you do, but why is that important? So I want to show you a quick video from one of our consultants, Garrett Brown, who is a visual artist, and he goes into classrooms and helps students create little mini comic books. So he can say who he is and what he does, but pay specific attention in this quick video about why he does it.
When I was a kid, I got in trouble for bringing comics to school. Well, I'm an adult now and a teaching artist, so I don't bring comics to school anymore. I make them, and so do my students. I've loved comics since I was a kid. The vivid art transported me to new worlds. The writing unlocked new vocabulary and reading skills for me. I want to unlock that same learning for students. Processing text and images together leads to better recall and transfer of learning. An effective comic can communicate difficult ideas efficiently, illuminate obscure concepts, and create a metaphor that can be much more memorable than a straightforward description of the concept itself. In this residency, I'll teach you how to plan and create your very own miniature comic. These cause and effect comics will combine life science and visual art in a fun and memorable way. We'll sketch and draw, we'll fold and cut, we'll ink and color. There's a spark of creativity in all of us. Let's use that creativity to transform your students into comic book creators and into better readers. I'm Garrett Brown, and this is my residency.
So the why is super important, and I know our grid is filled with artists and teaching artists. No matter what you're doing, that why is really going to pull in your clientele. And what do we do with a video like that? Where do we share it? Robert covered those bases. You know, the biggies are email blasts. So we're putting it on our website and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are the big ones. But when I think of this and the marketing that I do, I wanted to also say, all that's great, but your content is what's going to be important. Doesn't matter how many places you put something, if that content isn't strong and clear, it's going to fall flat. And again, just aligning with Robert, my big go-to, my big pro tip for the day is Canva. Robert talked about that. It covers so many bases for me when I'm thinking about marketing, from the social media posts, videos, slide decks, Instagram, Facebook, a template for anything you can imagine. We use it a lot. And when it comes to marketing, you have to have a mastery for language and writing and a mastery in visual composition and aesthetic design. And as a performing artist, that's just not in my wheelhouse. So I really take advantage of Canva and the artificial intelligence that they have so readily available to help me create images that I need that are very specific to what I do. They've got so many apps that are included with the program that can create content for me. They even have apps that will do voiceovers for me and create music as a background, like you heard in that video. So this is just a small sampling of all of the artificial intelligence apps that create content for the non-artistic user. Even if you're, as we're artists, like Robert said, use it as a starting place and then manipulate that and change it to make it look your own. What I like about Canva is you also create a branding kit. So you tell Canva, what are the colors for your company? What are the fonts? What's the logo and the images you use a lot? So we create Facebook stories with Canva, we create slide decks, we create flyers that describe what our teaching artists do. We even create our New Year's card that we mail out. It is just an invaluable resource. I am including a link in the chat bar. I just really quickly went to Canva and typed in create a presentation, a slide deck on digital art marketing strategies for teaching artists. And within 2 minutes, it created this whole slide deck outlining all of these strategies for digital marketing. So I provide this just as an example of how fast something can be created these days. I think what Robert provided us was much more in depth, but you'll see how in depth even that artificial intelligence did with writing the content. And then I went back and just double checked it and added my own tweaks and personalizations. So that's my time limit. I'm going to pass things over to the next presenter. And as I do, I'll put that link in the chat bar. Thanks so much.
Sean, thank you so much. What an engaging presentation. If you have questions for Sean or Robert, pop them in the chat. We will get them at the Q&A period. And now it's time. Barka, you are up.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Bara Patel. As you know, I am a Kathak dancer based in, well, now my presentation, sorry, has started from, it's backwards. Let me restart. Give me a second. I am a performing artist, choreographer, educator, specifically Kathak, which is a North Indian classical art form. So some of the things that I wanted to share today, and I specifically was gonna talk more towards Instagram, which is where I feel I found a lot of my growth, and things kind of really expanded out of there because I guess of the generation maybe I'm from, a lot of people were always telling me to put things on Instagram, and I know a lot of those things have shifted. Personally, as an artist, I have not expanded into other platforms as much as I feel I could, like such as TikTok, which I feel like is one of the greatest places to be putting your work up and out there. And it really gives you access to even more of a community of people. And it like the algorithms don't mess with you in a certain way. So I guess I'm calling my presentation Finding Your Own Unique Ways of Reaching Your Audience, because I think there's outlines of what we can follow, and then there's things that you have to do as an artist or as an artist that are nuanced to what feels right to your individuality. So I'll share some things that make sense to me or that worked for me, and then how can I then invite you all to find your own ways in doing your thing with those suggestions. So my journey with social media, it's kind of like the face or this expression that I've made here. It was from a workshop that I took in Kerala in India last year, where we explore the 9 basic emotional expressions called abhinaya, or the navras, the 9 emotions. I'm really doing a very basic job in explaining that, but this expression is one of wonder. And I did see this wonderment in my journey with social media, specifically Instagram. And these numbers that I've outlined here are, I started off with 100 followers, which were mostly friends and family. And as I started posting more, it grew. It grew. Then I got to 11K and it felt like, I was on top of the world and we plateaued and I didn't understand what was happening. And then just within, I think 2023, I jumped from like 12K to 25, between like, I think middle of 23 to it'll be almost a year now. I jumped, like, had this huge jump of following. And I'll kind of, I can answer later how that happened, but I might cover some of those things. Um, so what worked for me? I really started creating content that I was enjoying for myself. As a performing artist, I think there's an expectation for me as a dancer to create dances to reels and music that that everyone was doing or that was trending. But I honestly didn't enjoy it because I just felt like I was another fish in the sea doing the same thing. So at a time when people were creating trends, I'd like do something completely different. So that's one thing I did. What worked also was even if I wasn't posting to my actual grid a lot, like the main Instagram grid, I was engaging a lot in my stories. And I think being active in my Instagram stories got a lot of engagement with my followers. And as the following was growing, it's really interesting how it works in people's minds that when you have a large following and you respond to somebody on social media who might not have such a big following, but you inspire them and you have a conversation, a meaningful conversation, they feel deeply like just even more connected. And I think that like relationship kind of builds into something. So I always stay active on my stories, even if I don't have things to post on my grid that are of my artistic practice. And that kind of goes into the personal connection that I enjoy building. It is a lot of work sometimes, but if somebody is commenting on a video, I do take a moment to just either heart it or really respond if they've made some sort of unique observation or comment. One of the things kind of talking about Instagram stories, reposting other people's work is really interesting. I do it as a way of community support and engaging with my community. If there are artists whose work I like, I tend to repost it a lot and commenting. And then it's always struck a conversation, even if it's a simple, thanks so much, I haven't spoke to you in so long, or thank you for sharing, it's nice to connect with another artist, or hey, you reshared my thing. It's nice to see your work. I'd love to talk to you more about, what you're doing. And then that sometimes leads into other projects and things that come my way. Collaborating without collaborating. So I don't know if this will make sense, but oftentimes there's music that's created by certain artists that I really enjoy, and I won't reach out to them because they're maybe they have more following or they don't access their Instagram themselves, but I will collaborate with their ideas or with their music or their artwork and tag them or engage with them in that way as a way of creating, again, community connection. And then one thing that someone suggested a while ago, and this takes a lot of work, and I did it for a bit and then I stopped, which is commenting on other people's works actually. And really, again, authentically commenting on other people's work and creating engagement that way. So it's interesting. There are people who if they don't have time to do all this stuff, I guess there's a way to purchase followers, or there's a way, I don't know what the deal with that is, but I feel like all the growth that I've had has been really organic, and I encourage it because we're all showcasing our personal portfolio of works, and the last thing we want is a bot, I think, commenting and driving up, like just putting random comments in your work and stuff. And then people start recognizing that, and people can see when something is authentic. You could see, like, if you have like 50K followers or whatever, but your engagement is only like 50 likes. So that conversion sometimes doesn't make sense. And personally, that does happen to me too. I'll be honest, like I might have like close to 26,000 followers, but there are just certain posts that is just not interested to all the followers, and it gets missed with like the amount of content that's even going out. I'm going over my time. Oh my God, I'll be quick. Okay. What didn't work for me? Thank you, thank you, Samantha. Using too many hashtags. I think the relevant hashtags work. The non-relevant ones don't work. If your work is not about like if your work is like creating beautiful food art and has nothing to do with dance, I probably wouldn't do hashtag dance. So I try to stay within the realm of the community that I want to connect. And sometimes, and this has worked, I do like if it's like if I'm posting about my dance, sometimes I will hide a hashtag of like hashtag like Christmas Eve if it is Christmas Eve or something, but my post isn't relevant to it because people are all on social media at that time. Um, Posting every day doesn't work for me. It's really exhausting and mentally and physically, it feels like a lot of work. I know I can use things like Buffer and other great platforms, planning platforms that were offered earlier. I can't do it yet. Hopefully I can get around to it. Creating content to trends is not of interest to me. Like if there's a piece of music that's out there that everyone's creating to, it's possible that your video that you create will get picked up with that trend. But I don't know. It's a question that I just ask myself, like, is that what I really want? Or do I really want to connect and create how I want to create? Because again, if we're all artists, like the social media aspect is also an extension of our creative vision. So what are the colors and things and everything that we want to put out there? Stressing about perfection. I feel like that's very straightforward. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing, but just put it out there. Um, Talking in my posts, I've noticed doesn't work. In my stories, it does, but not when you're actually posting. For example, like, we'd love to invite you to come to this show. I haven't seen that conversion happen at all. But doing the annoying DMing everyone and like tagging people, so at least they get pinged, like, oh, I've been tagged on this post versus, hi, welcome to my show. Like, come to my show, buy tickets, they're ready. I feel like no one wants to hear me talk, so they just want to know what the thing is and move on. And posting about my lunch, it's just a joke, but like, I think it's like, I ate a salad today. It could work sometimes, but I stopped doing that. But if it's part of your work and you feel it connects with your audiences, like, go for it. I was just also saying that to be funny. I make no judgment on people who post their salads. It's cool. Um, Last few suggestions for me are just choosing the right platform. TikTok isn't for me right now. It overwhelms me, so I don't post on TikTok. I don't even want to learn how to edit the videos on TikTok right now, so I'm not doing it. Engaging, like I said, in conversation, leveraging partnerships for growth, and like collaboration share posts. Like if there are artists, um, that are in your show that might tend to have more of a following. I know when I performed in India last year, um, I have more of a following than like my mentor who was hosting the show. So I told her, let's do a collaborative post. So it will reach more people this way. And a lot of my following is in India, funnily enough. So it really got a lot more people to know about the show. So whether that's if you're trying to grow and you want to do that with another person, you know, consistency on walls and stories. Look who's talking. I'm not that consistent on my wall, but my story grid, I am. Um, Following and not following trends, as you think is right, letting your authentic voice come through and let it be true. And then the relevant hashtags. I don't dance in New Jersey anymore. I used to, but I still will tag NJ Dance because I still have a community of dancers out there. If they're using the same hashtag, I want my work to show up on their feeds for them to connect with. So for me, that still feels relevant, even if I don't live there. Some suggestions from me. If you'd like to connect, feel free, reach out. I'm so happy to help and give ideas more if you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Barka. And you are always welcome back in New Jersey anytime you'd like to come back. And last but not least, I would love to pass the mic over to Mr. Eric James Montgomery.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric James Montgomery. I am a professional photographer and founder of the EJM Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that teach art, photography, and I'm going to share a little bit about digital marketing from a branding point of view. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about in the next 10 minutes, a lot of my colleagues have already talked about, but we're going to touch on a few things that's super important, especially when it comes to branding and photography. So next slide, please. So first and foremost, if you have not done this yet, please Google yourself and do variations of your name. So my full name is Eric James Montgomery with K. Whenever I Google myself, I would just Eric Montgomery, Eric James Montgomery, Eric with a C, variation of my name, and I will see what's out there. Anything that's negative, you definitely want to do some image control. There was a time that a person that interviewed me, and it wasn't a favorable interview. The person shared a lot of misquotes, and I had to call that person to have that retracted. So you definitely want to protect your brand, and in doing so, I would say every quarter at least, Google yourself and make sure what's out there is proper. Next slide, please. So first and foremost, secondly, make sure that your name is consistent. All right. I'm not going to go by my nickname and my official name. I'm not going to have 18 different names out there because it's going to be very confusing to the world on who you are and what you represent. So stick to one name and keep it consistent every time. Whenever I'm introducing myself or I have someone introduce me, it's always my full name. Not J Montgomery, not Eric J Montgomery, it's always the full name. All right. Going further, your email address. If you have a Google or Gmail account, make sure that you are thinking about getting a professional branded email address. It does not cost a lot of money, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But as opposed to Gmail or, God forbid, an AOL account or Yahoo, definitely get something that has your name. So it could be info at art for everyone, whatever your website is, or even your personal name. Think about spending a few dollars to get that personalized email. And the same thing goes with your phone and voicemail. At the very least, you should get a Google phone number that's separate from your cell phone. That way you keep everything separate. You can still send text messages, you can still receive voicemail messages, but even with your voicemail, make sure it's professional. For my voicemail, I have different lines. I have one for my website. I have another one for my personal art. And you could just press 1 or 2 and go from there. So you won't hear me talking about my personal, hey, if he's trying to hang out tonight, press 3. You won't hear that on my, so be mindful of that. Next slide, please.
Eric, we're getting some feedback from your background, so it's been a little hard to hear you.
Okay, I'm going to switch mic. Is that better?
Oh, much better. Yes. Could you repeat about the
Okay.
email and the Google Voice?
Okay, so with the email and the Google Voice, just want to make sure that if you're being consistent straight through, you want to make sure that you are thinking about the branding of each. I would definitely suggest on spending a few extra dollars on having a personalized email account, which would have your name or your website or your company's name. So for example, info@ejmfoundation.org. It lets people know that if you're looking for information about me and my website, this is where to go. Let's go on to the next slide. So for these next 2 slides, if you find yourself anywhere in this, you could definitely type in ouch or yay, okay? If you're using a default avatar, please don't do that. People want to see who you are. At the very least, you want to have a picture of yourself. Be mindful of your background. So when you're doing car selfies with a seatbelt and you see your car seat and all of that, that's not very professional, okay? So it's fun and it's convenient, but it's not professional. So you don't want to do that. And for the love of everything beautiful, do not do a bathroom selfie, all right? Don't be that person. If you are, I'm going to find you and I'm going to email you and we're going to have a conversation, all right? If I see a toilet in your photo, we're going to have some issues, all right? You don't want to do any of the above. A lot of times it's popular now because it's so convenient, but it's not professional. So let's look at something that's more professional. Next slide. So both of these were taken by the same individual. She's not a professional photographer, but if you look at the left, it was bad lighting. It's a very orange cast to the lighting. Very bad cropping where her chin is cut off and her hair is cut off, and it's a bad angle. So she's kind of like looking down into the camera. Now compare that to the picture to the right. Great lighting. You don't have to go out and buy ring lights or the whole $1,000 light set. A lot of times, if you just wait for a good time during the day and have window lighting come in, similar to what I have now, but maybe a little bit brighter, you'll be guaranteed to have a great photo. Having that eye connection, so right now I'm looking right into the camera, that's great eye connection. Before I was reading from my slide, that's not great eye connection. So you definitely want to connect with the viewer. So just trying to see which angle would work best for you, okay? And definitely a pleasant angle. You may want to tilt your head up just a little bit, but not so much where it's more whimsical. You want to keep it at a professional level, all right? When you're doing self-portraits, you want to make sure you extend your arm as far as possible so that way your features won't be elongated. If you have your camera too close to your face, your nose, your lips, your forehead is going to be wider than it should be. So keep that in mind. And then the last tip, use a self-timer, all right? Set it on a counter or some substrate that's away from you. Set the timer to 10 seconds, and then you can take a great self-portrait. Next slide, please. Websites. Every artist should have a website. At the very least, have a web page. The difference between a web page and a website is a web page is just one consistent scroll. You can still have a lot of information on that, but it's just one continual scroll. For a lot of people who go onto your website or web page via a cell phone, web pages are wonderful because you could just scroll just like you would an Instagram page. For a website, you would click on your various tabs, whether it's info, about me, a portfolio, et cetera, et cetera. They are both very important, but you could decide on which one you would want to use. Secondly, your domain name. A domain name basically is about $20 to $30 a year. I specifically use GoDaddy, but there's a whole host of places that you can go to secure your domain name. For me, once I get one domain name, I would get variations of each extension. For example, ejmfoundation.org and .com, .info, .net. I would try to get all the extensions possible so that way they're all secured and nobody else would try to take that branding from you. So that's something to think about. There's many website builders. My colleagues talked about those already, so I'm not going to behoove that. So you want to definitely opt in for people who are going to your website. You want to let them know that they will receive correspondence from you, whether it's on a daily basis, weekly basis, however the case may be. Have them opt in so there's no problems on the back end. Some websites demand that, especially if you're doing a lot of mass media marketing. And I'll talk about that in a second. And always keep your information updated. Next one, please. Being mindful of the time. So social media, again, my colleagues really spoke well on this. What I will say personally is make sure you know who your audience is, all right? I am a 52-year-old, so I have Facebook for people who are still my age and a little bit older who will never do TikTok or Instagram. Then I'll also have Instagram and Twitter, which is now X, and I definitely have Indeed. I may not post something that's fun and jovial on Indeed because that's more for the professional level, where I would possibly do that on Instagram. But please know that if TikTok is not for you, don't even touch it. That's one. Two, make sure that you're consistent, all right? Me personally, when I do post, I try to post at least twice a week. So let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays. Be mindful of what time you're posting. If you're posting at 10 o'clock at night, I doubt if anybody will see that. I suggest posting right around lunchtime and right around dinner time, because that way a lot of people will go onto their Instagram or their social media and they will see what has just been posted. All right, next slide. So really quick with mass marketing, there's some platforms like Hootsuite that you can have your multiple social media platforms. You can have one posting and you can have it post to all of those separately, all at the same time. So that way you don't have to go back and do individual postings for each platform. It's one-stop shopping, and you can have it scheduled months in advance, weeks in advance, different platforms for different times. I love Hootsuite. It's a small cost, but it can really serve a lot for the working artist. And then for email, you definitely want to look at something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And I think there's one more slide left. Yes, business cards. Good people. Please have a business card, whether it's in digital format or in paper format. I do both. For my generation, a lot of us still use the paper cards. We like to write on them and we like the tangible feel to it. But a lot of people in the millennials and the Gen Zers, they're using a lot of digital. The thing that I like about the digital format is you can have a lot of information. Links to your websites, links to your social media, a whole lot. You can update it in real time and not have to pay for a whole new business cards. You can have QR codes on it, the whole nine. What I don't like about it is once somebody sends you the card, it's kind of hard to remember, now, who was that person? Where did I meet them from? So you just have to be mindful of keeping track of that, all right? So I'm gonna keep mindful of my time. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, that's my contact information. And thank you for spending time with me.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. It was so great hearing so many different perspectives, but then am I muted? Am I unmuted? I did it right. Okay. It was so wonderful hearing so many different perspectives, but then also some of those tools and tips being reiterated in unique and authentic ways. Fantastic. I've taken notes. I'm so excited. I was afraid to do TikTok. I'm still afraid to do TikTok, but maybe you'll see me on Instagram. Any questions that we have? I know one question came in about extensions. Eric, would you talk a little bit more about you purchasing extensions of your email or of your website domain?
Absolutely. So for GoDaddy specifically, when you sign up for a new website, they will give you the options to bundle everything into one price point. And they will give you the option for renewing every year. So for me, right now, there's a lot of extensions. Some extensions are specific, like .art, .me. So some of those, like I don't have a .me, but I purchase extensions like .art, .org. So a little bit about that. I don't want to take up too much time, but .org is for nonprofit organizations. .com specifically or for for-profit organizations. You can have a nonprofit and have both. When you go to my website, even if you type in ejmfoundation.com, it will forward to .org, all right? And I set that up with my website. But as far as your branding, I highly suggest trying to get as many of those extensions as possible. When I create a new website, it costs about maybe $80 to secure all of those websites, but it's very well worth it because you don't want somebody to come in to take over one of those brandings and to post something that's not conducive to the artwork or the person that you are. So that's a little bit about that.
Thanks so much, Eric. Steph, if I miss any questions, please jump in.
Yeah.
Oh, great. What questions?
Yeah, so we did have one earlier that Sherry Wilkins had brought up, and then Sherry put in the chat again. I would love to hear more about how to set up Google Analytics for an existing website, even some resources with a step-by-step guide for setting it up. And Robert, you had mentioned that there's a lot of information on YouTube regarding this. Is there any other resources that we could look into for that?
Robert just popped off for another meeting. So what I'll do is I'll follow up via email and we'll have that in our post-workshop email for you.
Excellent. Thank you. And then we have someone asking, Emily Beasley's asking if anyone here is using Threads or if any of our presenters have used Threads.
So I'm seeing some shaking head no. If anyone is currently using Threads, maybe let's use some of those Zoom reactions to see if anybody is currently utilizing. Okay, appears no. All right.
Sorry, Emily. But if you want to write a little bit more in the chat about what specifically you're experiencing with that, maybe we can, get a little more action around that question. And here's another one. I created a website on Square and it's absolute torture to post and edit. I started with Square because it's synced when I take payments at a show, but it's not worth the non-intuitive editing. What host sites do you recommend the most?
So I know there is a difference between Square, which is a payment platform, and Squarespace. I want to make sure that we're talking about Square, the payment platform, and not Squarespace, the website platform. Would that person be able to come off mute or post in the chat?
Yes.
Oh,
Excellent. Thanks, Vicky. All right. And Vicky, you had shared your website that you were working on too in the chat. So yeah.
Right. I did see in Eric's presentation, he mentioned three things: GoDaddy, Wix, and Squarespace.
Yes.
Which I found, just to follow up to my question, you said create on no, get your name on GoDaddy, but then create the site on one of the other two. Can you just talk a little bit more about, I never ever touch my website because I can't stand it.
Eric, would you have time to come off mute? Thanks.
Absolutely. So if you can create a PowerPoint presentation, you could definitely create a website or a web page. It looks super hard, but it's really not that bad. And now, and one of my colleagues mentioned it, with AI, a lot of times they do all the heavy lifting for you. So what I would suggest is you could definitely go to any of those two Wix, even GoDaddy, they have a website builder. Always start off with the free version. So specifically, I use Wix. So I would go to wix.com and they would ask you what type of website you're trying to build. So you can say photography or knitting or whatever the case may be, right? And they will have some templates already set up for you. So just like a PowerPoint presentation, you click on it and then you can just start filling in your name. You can upload some photos, videos, things of that nature. And then before you launch it, which means that before it goes live for everybody to see and to click on it, you could test it with a preview and it will show you what it would look like before it actually goes live.
If I may, I'm sorry, if I may, I did create my website. It just, the process is so non-intuitive that it is absolute torture to edit it. Like if I sell something, I then have to take it down. And to do that, you'd think it would be simple, or to change the price or it's so complicated and non-intuitive. So somehow I would want to migrate or recreate it. I'm not worried about that, to another site. And my understanding is a place like Wix, you get, just like I have in Square because it's free, it's my name, but then it's .square.site. It's not just myname.com. My understanding is that's how Wix is also, if it's free. So I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind addressing those issues.
Of course. So with any free website builder, they will have their branding, the company's branding towards the end. So it'll be mywebsite.wix, as opposed to your own personal branding, unless you pay for the branding and then pay for that upcharge to use that branding for the website. So each website builder has different prices. Some are $10 to $20. Some are more expensive if you're going to do e-commerce and things of that nature. What I would suggest is, and like one of my colleagues said, going to the whole YouTube University and just seeing, typing in how to build a better Wix website or a better fill in a blank website, that can help. But then personally, if you want to reach out to me offline, I could definitely like take a look at what you have now and give you some suggestions. I would love to do that with you because I would love to give you more detail that I can give you in 30 seconds.
And this
Thank you.
all is why Eric James Montgomery is one of my favorite people on the planet. And also Teresa, in the chat, Vicky has provided some resources too. Keeping mindful of our time, I want to thank y'all for such an incredible presentation. Sean, Barca, Eric, and Robert. Thank you all so much. Steph, you were a champion in the chat with all of those resources. We're going to provide a PDF of those resources, as well as a video recording of this and the secret code to register for the Teaching Artist Speed Networking event, which will be on June 3rd, where if you are a teaching artist, you can connect with arts organizations looking to hire you all across the state. It's an awesome opportunity. Please, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. Steph's and my contact information is in the chat. Thank you all so much. We appreciate your time and energy, and we'll see you soon.